Hello everyone, Triple S here and welcome to this game called either Shan Gui, Shan Graphic User Interface, Sweet Osmanthus, or the Girls Look Forward to Meeting Again in Autumn. All depending on where you look at. But another visual novel game, yay! Let's get started. And hopefully the recording this time doesn't bug out. I have to think back to my childhood, especially my family. We were a large family, and we enjoyed an idyllic life. Even in the presence of so many extra relatives, it was always a harmonious atmosphere. In those carefree days, I often thought, if only such a life could last forever. We often went on family outings to the mountains. Warm words and laughter always accompanied us on our voyages. I thought, if only this could last forever. At the time, I thought of myself as a very pessimistic child. However, reality later convinced me that I was probably too optimistic. It was the end of summer, and a pleasant scent wafted in the breeze. The serenity of the mountain was overpowered by the deafening buzz of cicadas. I think that's how you pronounce that. A truly quiet afternoon never exists. Ugh. With a sigh, I made my decision. I struggled to my feet so that I could step out of the shade. Oh well. I failed. The dew on the grass had begun to vaporize under the hot summer sun. The shade provided by sycamore trees stopped just at the edge of this grass, as if it too was afraid of the heat. I should have brought more water. How many times have I said these words today? It was my hope that through constant complaining I might find some distraction from this unbearable heat. Unfortunately, it did little more than sour my mood. Oh well. With another sigh, I righted myself and looked around, hoping to find any reason to face this ghastly sunlight. The bag on my back felt like 1,000 pounds. It was crammed with all manner of useless personal effects, not that the bag was particularly light to begin with. The weight on my shoulders became unbearable. The sweat on my back evaporated almost immediately as I removed the bag and put it into my hands. I then became aware of a developing sharp pain in my shoulders. Ultimately, the bag became too heavy to carry, and I tossed it to my feet. I shouldn't have taken so much with me. I shook my head, braced myself, and looked forward. Suddenly, I saw a little store on the edge of the mountain. A Coke would sure be nice. It had been 43 minutes and 4 seconds since I finished all my water. For such a well-known place, it seemed rather barren. I saw no sign of other visitors. However, respite had finally presented itself. I felt I had been clutching at straws. The store was my last hope. No, straw is a terrible metaphor. It's so dry. Perhaps seaweed instead. Yes, seaweed. I laughed at my own unfunny joke. I started across the shadeless yard to reach my newfound sanctuary. Better than dying of thirst, I suppose. I made up my mind to move out of the shade. 5 minutes later, I regretted this decision. The little store was closed. It was a Wednesday. Even the most popular tourist attractions do not see many crowds during the work week. That must be why this store is closed. Empty boxes that once contained soft drinks were strewed about the floor. With a wry smile, I braced myself and looked around. There was a small forest behind the store. Through the forest I could see an ancient-looking cloister sitting upon a hillside. Beyond this cloister was a pavilion. Pretty sure pavilion has 2 L's? Thought it did. The pavilion looked magnificent. Adorning each of the pavilion's 4 corners were bell-shaped wind chimes that rang out crisply. I thought it might be best to wait there until sunset. I made my way to the pavilion. The pavilion was much bigger than it appeared from a distance. The inside was very spacious. It was much cleaner than I expected too. I attributed this to lack of tourists. Normally, I'd be a little more picky about where I rest, but at that moment, I was far too tired to care. I found a corner and promptly sat down. Whoa. I gazed out from the pavilion. For the first time today, I felt lucky. The late summer sky was a translucent blue. Flocks of birds flew over my head and they dissipated into the mountains. Wildflowers coloured the paths as butterflies danced among them. As the wind gusted, the forest canopy quivered like a ribbon. Through the trees I could make out a few old buildings, everywhere. The chimes rang away, their sounds echoed throughout the mountains. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. Earthy aromas emanating from the stream, soil and the rotting leaves, along with fleeting bits of my own memory, took my mind back to a place I'd been long ago. Halcyon days spent with loved ones in the comfort of their warm words. There was a certain sweetness to it all. The air had mixed with something sweet, a scent evocative of this bygone time. It was the returning memory of late summer. Sweet and intoxicating, an irresistible fragrance. Sweet as Manthus? I wanted to open my eyes. The fragrance beguiled as if a pair of soft and delicate hands covering my eyes, playing and hiding from me. A feeling as if I were to move these hands, the sweet fragrance might vanish. I attempted to retain this sense of wonderment despite my growing self-awareness of acting in a very, very childish manner. You okay? Is this real? I heard a honey-like voice as a beautiful, mild face appeared before me. The smell of sweet as Manthus was heavy in the air. Huh? For a second I didn't know what to say to this young girl. Are you alright? You look very tired. Yeah, I'm okay. Do you need some water? The young girl began to speak as she took out a purple thermos. Hope you like it. Please enjoy. The girl handed me a cup of tea. I indulged in the sweet and fresh aromas. This is very nice of you. Thanks. I took the cup from her. Even though I was nearly dying of thirst, I wished to remain reserved in the presence of this mysterious young girl. The pale green liquid in the cup was invitingly clear. I felt a sudden coolness rush to my face. Apparently the tea was iced. I slowly sipped the tea. It was mellow. A wonderful sensation filled my heart. The aroma of tea and honey paired well with the fragrance as sweet as Manthus. How's my tea? Sweet. I responded and quickly drank up the tea. This rather ordinary tea is a very good taste, I must say. Haha. The girl smiled upon hearing my praise. Her smile was impressive as her tea. Thank you very much. I felt a little bit strange expressing thanks to a girl who's younger than me. Well, it's my pleasure. Her mannerisms and general demeanour were quite graceful and modest, implying class. She appeared to be about 12 or 13 years old and had a rather tall and slender build. She looked quite elegant and refined. I felt a little embarrassed when looking at her. My name is He Jia. He Jia, I think it's He Jia. I'm going to keep saying He Jia. May I know your name, sister? She raised her hand slightly. I'm Han Hui. Han Hui. I just said Ha Hui. Han Hui. Ugh, these names. I nodded my head. Her name is He Jia. I repeated that name in my mind. He Jia. Sis Hui. Sis he. Sis he. I don't know. He Jia called me sis with a sweet voice. He. He Jia seemed quite pleased and then laughed. It had been a long time since I was called sis by a young girl. With these feelings in my mind, I felt a little satisfaction. Thinking of the sweet tea, her sweet smile, and her sweet voice. Few people come here. It is dangerous. Be careful that you don't die. How terrible. Thank you anyway. I don't need to go home at sunset now. You lost? Lost? No. Only the person who has a destination could get lost. I'm just sort of rambling about aimlessly. Really? The girl cocked her head and looked at me. She didn't believe my words. Her inquisitive expression made me smile. So cute! I clicked, goddammit. Upon seeing my smile, Jia returned the gesture bashfully. And then I got lost. Well, there's little to do when so few people come here. When I was a child, I often had a picnic with my family. I just wanted to see a familiar place. I rarely told strangers of my personal matters. It felt different with He Jia. I am not very given to say too much about my private business. A change came over He Jia's face. Her big eyes narrowed thoughtfully. So, you haven't found your destination? Well, I haven't been here for many years. I have nothing to go on. Jia nodded and smiled again. Well, then, Sisui, if you don't mind, please allow me to lead you there. Lead me there? She had a sparkle in her eyes. Yes, the place you're looking for must be filled with your memories. I promise I will lead you there. Let's find the place from your memories. Well, I greatly appreciate the offer, but please forget it. I really have no idea where it is. Don't worry, leave it to me. I grew up here and I know all the points of interest. With that, He Jia extended her hand. You sure it won't be trouble for you? No trouble at all. Feel free to ask me any questions about this place. Then I took He Jia's hand and carefully stood up. Her allure compelled me. Could you please lead the way? Sure. I was lost in mountains and dying of fatigue. This little girl rescued me. Now she was going to lead the way to my destination. Was this divine reward? I couldn't recall doing anyone some great favour recently, but cared little. We embarked upon our trek. The girl skipped and twirled about, agile and graceful as a creature of the forest. Sometimes she would turn back to make sure I was still following her, spoke briefly, and then continued moving forward. So, sis, are you a university student? Yeah, I'm a freshman. Jia turned back and began to walk backwards. That sounds really nice. I don't think university is a place I will be able to go. Is university interesting? Well, if we to take part in many activities, there's a lot less homework. Oh yeah, sometimes we also have class. Jia gave a feeble shrug. She didn't seem to catch my words. University is quite different from high school. You choose your courses. With some clever planning, there can be a lot of leisure time. Ah, I got it. Jia nodded her head. She seemed to understand this time. What about you? You on summer vacation? I wasn't completely sure. Jia appeared to be wearing a school uniform. Hehe. I did have some classes today, but I skipped them. You skipped them? I've never tried that. Well, actually, tennis is quite optional. Why did I say quite? Is optional. My scores are not bad, so today I decided to take a break. Sounds great. I want to study at your school. Hehe. It's a very nice school, right? Jia spoke as she turned around and stepped forward. I recall that she mentioned living here. The Purple Mountain is not far from downtown. It's a wealthy area in the city, and that is a link that will open Chrome, so I'm not going to click that. She said that the choice of attending school depended entirely on herself. I wondered if perhaps she was simply from a wealthy family. Pondering this, I glanced at her again. Her purple dress clung tightly to her porcelain skin. She wore her hair. What the hell happened then? An aneurysm. She wore her hair tied back with orange hair lace, a feature that embodied her childlike innocence. I fucking turned to Arkwright from Up on Hours, Jesus Christ. What's up? I felt a little bit shy when making eye contact with her. Well, nothing. I'm just thinking about how far we need to go. We're almost there. At the end of the path is the place that you mentioned, with statues around. Really? How far is it? Just through these woods. I began to feel excited. Soon I could relive happy memories of lost childhood days. There were less trees. The dirt road was gradually being replaced with flagstones. I quickened my pace. I no one was soldier on despite my wariness. The promise of reliving grand memories lay ahead.